Now to a major political emergency unfolding in West Africa following the military coup in Niger. The regional bloc, ECOWAS, has said it wants a diplomatic and peaceful resolution to the takeover, but that no options are off the table. Diplomatic efforts to find a resolution have stepped up, with a warning from Washington. Speaking to the BBC, the US Secretary of State Antony Blinken has voiced his concern that Niger's military leaders might turn to the Russian mercenary group Wagner for help. The group is active in neighbouring countries. They're seen here in the Central African Republic last month, and Wagner's leader has welcomed the takeover. The coup leaders are currently standing firm against calls to restore democratic rule. Well, here's what Mr. Blinken had to say about Wagner to the BBC a little earlier.
For sure, we have concerns when we see something like the Wagner group possibly manifesting itself in different parts of the Sahel. And here's why we're concerned. Because every single place that this group, Wagner group, has gone, death, destruction, and exploitation have followed. Insecurity has gone up, not down. It hasn't been a response to the needs of the countries in question for greater security. I think what happened and what continues to happen in Niger was not instigated by Russia or by Wagner, but to the extent that they try to take advantage of it, and we see a repeat of what's happened in other countries, where they brought nothing but bad things in their wake, that wouldn't be good.
That's the US Secretary of State Antony Blinken there. Well, the Wagner leader Yevgeny Prigozhin has released an audio message referring to the coup in Niger. The recording emerged on Telegram, though the date and location can't be independently verified. Mr. Prigozhin had this message, apparently for the coup leaders.
We are always on the side of goodness, justice, and on the side of those who fight for sovereignty and for the rights of their people. Call us anytime.
Yevgeny Prigozhin there. Well, let's hear now from West Africa analyst Paul Ejeme. Thank you so much, Paul, for joining us here on the programme. We just heard there from Yevgeny Prigozhin, who said, call us anytime. I suppose he is expecting a call if he hasn't had one already.
So I think that will be releasing a very wild cats among the pigeons, because already West Africa is in a very dire strait with now four of the countries under military rule. But how he does that, perhaps in the sense that Niger's neighbors like Mali and Burkina Faso, they have embraced Russia. They also, I think, Wagner is active there. There hasn't been any, evidence that they are in Burkina Faso, or perhaps he's inviting them, or they should be the ones to invite. It's not clear.
I mean, how problematic?
That was body of the water.
How problematic do you think it is that ECOWAS put this deadline of 7 days that came and went, and their call was, the regional bloc's call was, reinstate the president of Niger, bring democracy back, or else. And then we didn't quite figure out what that or else was.
Yeah, I think it was rushed, everybody's condemning the coup. You have heard from the Americans, the UN, and then EU and Russia, France, the former colonial power there. So it was just a frenzy. That in that moment of outrage, that ECOWAS, I thought, issued that ultimatum, but has now realized that it was precipitate action, and so they have pulled back a bit to give diplomacy and negotiation a chance. But the junta leaders are digging in. For instance, there was a diplomatic message that ECOWAS, AU, and UN were to lead a joint mission to Niger tomorrow, Wednesday. But the coup leaders said they won't have any of that.
Any of them there, yeah. Which just gives you a sense of how much the relationships have broken down, because of course they were happy to have the leader of Chad there. They took the calls from Mali and Burkina Faso, but ECOWAS they're more suspicious of. How do you believe this will end?
Well, I think ECOWAS has been there before. Even in Niger itself, there have been coups. Niger is not a stranger to coups. The point is that ECOWAS has appears to have they dropped the ball some years ago, allowing these soldiers to take power in Mali, in Guinea, and then Burkina Faso, and now Niger. So, but they want to now stop it. They want to sound tough. But this is complex. If you bring Wagner into it, and the fact that the four countries appear to be bonding together to fight a purported or an imminent ECOWAS invasion. So that is why ECOWAS is now saying, listen, we can handle this. They were able to send, end the war in Liberia, in Sierra Leone, and, were able to do things. It's just that they missed, it's a bad strategy that they've been using that have allowed this incursion. And again, because of the fact that the leaders are not showing good examples. Some of them have involved carrying out political coups, ballot box coups, rigging election, corruption, and then they are not actually leading. I think that is what is now giving, is sensing the population, and then the military are now trying to cash in on that.
Paul Ejeme, fascinating hearing your thoughts there. Thank you very much for joining us.